Thousands of people are affected by storms every year across the country. From this, billions of dollars in property damage are paid out in settlement claims. Most property owners carry insurance to protect against these losses. This is a true story of a loss in North Texas and how the claim was handled by the carrier.
What is it that you like about being a public adjuster?
Very rewarding, helping people in tough situations, especially when the homeowner knows what's going on and they feel hopeless. We can really come in and save the day.
The case study involves a building in McKinney, Texas, a 30-minute drive north of Dallas. In March 2017, a large hailstorm with hail the size of tennis balls damaged much of the city. The building was purchased in November 2016 with some renovations that needed to be made. The new owners planned to renovate the property and add a room for the data storage facility. A data storage facility is a large bank of servers in a temperature-controlled clean room about half the size of a basketball court.
We purchased the building in December of 2016. It was an older building and needed some repair, and we worked on that for a while, more internal than anything else. The structure was solid. We obviously were required to get insurance by our financing source and acquired insurance through the insurance carrier. In March of 2017, so less than 4 months after purchasing the building, there was a massive hailstorm in McKinney, Texas, where this is located. The building sustained massive damage, and we did what any owner would do and simply file a claim the next day to the insurance company. Insurance company comes out a day later. Adjuster walks the building, spends a few minutes walking the building, gives me a phone call and tells me that there wasn't any damage, or certainly not enough damage to justify or exceed my minimum deductible. So the way I understand it is when we insured the building, we requested a higher level of insurance amounts or levels than they could just easily approve. So we learned through this process that 3 different levels of approvals had to be made, and each one of those, the building had to be inspected or reviewed by a certain insurance adjuster or approver to achieve and attain that higher level, which it was in December of 2016. After we got the first phone call that said they denied the claim, I didn't think much more about it. I was very disappointed because there was obviously visual water damage, but at the time didn't think too much about it other than just a level of disappointment. A couple days later, there was another rainstorm in the area, and I came up here late at night and no one was there, and just noticed many different water leaks. And we would hear the way water drops on a dropped ceiling and a dropped light. You can hear the drops coming through the roof, which is something that we had never experienced before. So I kind of had an aha moment that, you know, what the insurance company had told me wasn't exactly true. There must have been some damage because immediately following this massive storm, which caused massive damage in the geography that we're located, there had to have been some damage in our building also, because not only was it visually seen, but now we were literally seeing water coming through the building. After that night where water damage came in the building, came up here the next morning. We have a data center in our building and very clean floor. We had put brand new clean insulation in the ceiling, and there was a puddle on the floor. And while I could swallow a little easier some of the office leaks, I certainly couldn't swallow having water in my data center. So I spoke to my partner about it. My partner had had more experience in some kind of roof repairs and dealing with insurance companies than I had, and he recommended that we contact a roofer and get more of a professional opinion on exactly what type of damage was done to the building. That roofer suggested we call a public adjuster, and that was Wes at the time.
This was about a medium-sized commercial property, I would say. About 70,000 square feet on the roof, to be exact. It was damaged by hail. It's a lot of the claims that we work.
When you say it was damaged by hail, how could you tell that it was damaged by hail?
Well, the initial signs are very apparent, right? When you come to an area to do an inspection and there's evidence on the ground, then you know what you're likely to be looking for when you get up on the roof. There's a lot of metal, sheet metal items out on the property that were obviously and very easily to identify were impacted by hail.
There are property damage markers that we look for when inspecting a property. The first marker on the roof of this property was the HVAC system. The insurance carrier said the HVAC system was repairable and could be combed out. Here's Public Adjuster Wes Smith's take on the insurance carrier's recommendation.
There is no reasonable person on this planet that knows anything about air conditioner repairs that could try to stand on those coils being repairable. Not only was the size of the hail a problem, but the quantity, the sheer quantity, in the square footage of the exposed coil, literally 99.9% of the coil was smashed from hail. Okay, if a technician were to try to repair it, you would literally be working on those coils, one face of a coil for 12 hours. I mean, it was the most ridiculous position I've ever seen on trying to repair a coil.
So, did we ask a third party who wasn't getting the job to come out and look at the air conditioners and give us an opinion on whether or not the air conditioner was even repairable?
We did. Somebody that was not involved with the claim thus far, had no financial interest in any shape, way, or form. We asked them to write a report on the condition of the coils and put together an estimate, a quote. And their opinion was that those coils were absolutely not repairable.
The day we were there doing the inspection with the adjuster, next door, they were actually putting a roof on the commercial
I believe
building.
that was a Walmart, right?
It was a Walmart.
Yes, they had a huge pile of material, some of it in the parking lot, some of it on the roof. They were physically replacing the roof while we were there with the adjuster.
And so apparently it was big enough across the street to damage the roof, but not big enough to damage this roof.
Well, that would have been this insurance company's opinion.
Yeah.
Right.
How difficult is it to find damage and get those replaced by insurance companies?
Gravel ballasts are notoriously more difficult because they are probably a little bit more hail resistant. They also hide the damage better too, as well, has been my experience. So, and this is a perfect example of it. It's not super apparent to the field that there's impact and damage from the hail impacts, but it's there if you know what to look for and how to look for it.
So while we were there, he didn't want to look at the air conditioners. He didn't want to look at the exhaust. The next step was he wanted us to find stuff in the field. So did we, that day, did we find stuff in the field for him to look at?
We did. We swept some gravel back. Actually, I think we just looked in an area where there already was some gravel that was thinner or missing completely. And there's indications that it was impacted by hail.
After, I believe we found 3, because after the first one, he said, no, that's not hail. We found a second one, no, that's not hail. The third one, it was like, he's not here to look for any damage. So what do we do next at that point in time?
Well, we make every attempt possible to settle it with the adjuster. That is going to always be the easiest and fastest method to getting it done. So regardless of their the way they're handling that appointment, that meeting, we need to continue to work with them as much as possible until it's just nothing's happening.
After you did your inspection, and what was the next steps? What does NCN do in order to help the property owner at that point in time?
Well, immediately after the inspection, I simply just showed the building owner, the policyholder, some photos of what I found. It was very crude, showing just some photos on an iPad of what I found and why I believe that the insurance company didn't do a very thorough and fair inspection.
After a full scope was done by NCN, more than 36 fractures were identified. Photos were taken and documented, then sent to the carrier for review.
We had a meeting with the public adjuster who had several different reports run, the way I understand it, and we were briefed on different types of reports that the adjuster had done, showed us damage, showed us roof damage, where water was coming in, where hail damaged many HVAC units, as well as vents, as well as the roof structure itself, as well as outside structures. And it was suggested to us at that time that we make another request with this new information and have them come out and inspect it again. We did that. We had the insurance company come out, and I believe they came out 3 more times, and each time denying our claim and denying our request and denying any type of suggestion by our public adjuster that there was additional damage. At that time, we were suggested by the public adjuster to hire an attorney and file suit.
Pearson Law is a San Antonio-based law firm who specializes in first-party claims. Matthew Pearson is the founding partner and was the lead attorney for VirtuWave.
Every case that we handle, we usually staff with the managing lawyer as well as a paralegal, and then I, as the founder, am involved in every case, kind of overseeing them. I've been handling first-party claims for about 25 years. The first 5 years representing insurance companies, and the last 20 years representing policyholders. A good claim to me is one where the property owner comes to the lawyer as the last resort. They first tried to work it out with the insurance company on their own. Maybe they hired a public adjuster to help prosecute their claim, but they're unable to get anywhere with the insurance company, and so their only option at that point is to file a lawsuit, and that's really the best time to go see a lawyer.
During trial, it was an interesting 4-day process where we were, when I was on the stand and the insurance company's attorney was asking me questions, there's many things that they had inaccurate along the way, and their understanding of the facts was kind of highlighted during the case. For instance, in one scenario, we'd have a light that was damaged out front by the hailstorm, which, 6 months after the storm, certainly before 6 months, we had replaced that light. We had invoices that we shared with the insurance company showing them of the work that we had done. And when I was on the stand, the insurance company's attorney asked me if there was so much hail damage, why wouldn't this light have broken? And I just explained to him on the stand, it was broken and we had to replace it immediately, and there's an invoice for that, and here it is. It was kind of a funny moment of the trial. It was an embarrassing moment for the insurance company's attorney, but things like that did occur. Over the course of 5 years, we've had many more roof damage issues. Obviously, leaks are hard to find. Unless you do a whole new roof, it's hard to chase leaks. We think we've done a good job of it. We explained to the insurance company multiple times that, here's repairs, here's invoices, here's a 5-year history of repairing this roof, and an evidence of pictures of and evidence of leak and water leaks and damages. None of that made any sense until we got to trial, and we were further able to prove our case at trial.
The insurance company hired a roof consultant and an engineering firm. The engineering firm took over 1,300 pictures on site, with 450 of those pictures showcasing damage to the HVAC.
At the end of a trial, the attorneys will make their case for the various claims that they would like to make. We won on all accounts. The jury, awarded what we believe is a very sizable and fair award. We not only wanted to, repair our roof, we also wanted to send a message to the insurance company, to anybody who may be hearing this message, that don't do this to people. We're very happy with the financial outcome that the jury awarded us, but at the same time, I wouldn't wish anybody else go through it. It's just a process that you have to go through sometimes to hold people accountable.
What makes a successful lawsuit is having obviously a good client with a good story to tell, and in this particular case, we had a good client, we had a good story to tell, and Ron Snauffer was part of that storytelling process that helped really tell this consistent story from the start of the storm all the way up through the time of trial.
In the end, our client was happy with the number that they settled on. Most claims don't end up with a public adjuster, even less with an attorney, and even far less, end up in court. Most property owners have no idea what their responsibilities are after a loss. We at National Claims will review what your duties are after a loss and advocate on your behalf. The insurance claim process is an adverse relationship. Make sure that you have an advocate that's on your side and is going to protect your interest in the claim process. Thank you again. I'm Ron Snoffer with National Claims.